Welcome to the TCR Show 2011, where I'm joined by Tom Lowe, the recently, well, not crowned exactly, but new British Ironman record holder. And what an outstanding race it was, Tom. It was amazing. Ironman Arizona, a few months ago now, back in November?
Yeah, end of November, yeah, well, 21st, yeah.
So how's life been treating you since then?
Life has been treating me really, really well, actually. I had a bit of a slack time after the race, obviously. Just
out boozing, partying.
Doing a little bit of that, yeah, you know, just red wine, and it was really good. It was really good. Had a little bit of a break with Chrissie, got away, and had a holiday because we would usually have one after Hawaii, but when that went Pete Tong, we had to delay it by 6 weeks. So it was just nice to relax, and didn't really do any training, or just ticked over until Christmas, New Year. Had a good time over that, and then started a job instead of getting back into training again, really. But which has hit the training quite hard. But yeah, time to join the real world anyway.
After Ironman Arizona, obviously a lot of people in the Ironman world were watching you and going, okay, what's Tom going to do next? Because we were just chatting and trying to work out that it's probably one of the fastest debut Ironman times ever. And I guess the kind of most logical thing would be to be now full-time training, looking towards Kona, but actually you've kind of chosen a slightly different route.
I have, yeah. There was a lot of people discussing Kona after that race, because I suppose I was mixing it with Timo Bracht, who was 6th this year, Rasmus, who's been 4th year before that. So great. I'm not going to say for the UK to eventually have an Ironman athlete up there, because we have some very good Ironman athlete men with Fraser and Stephen, but it's everyone has just talked about Kona, and I'd be lying if I didn't say I still had half an eye on it. It's a shame, because on the old system where you just had to qualify off a race, I probably would have earned my slot now, but instead with the point system I'll at least have to race one more Ironman and maybe one or two 70.3s. But I think I've surprised quite a few people by getting a job. I had a fantastic opportunity with TIR, and I didn't see myself as a full-time athlete in 3 or 4 years' time. I don't have any long-term aspirations to be doing the sport that long at a high level. Financially, I needed to join the real world again and get a job. Wasn't quite in the red, but I was fast approaching it. And yeah, I'm enjoying being back at work. It's just it's quite demanding, and I appreciate everyone out there who has to work and still get the training in, because I'm finding it quite difficult at the moment with time management and the like. Just answering emails at 9 or 10 o'clock at night isn't going to impress anyone, because the person I'm sending the email to went home 4 hours ago, so why am I doing it? But yeah, once I get a good routine going in a couple of months, I'm sure that I'll be able to get to a decent shape again. I still plan to race as a pro this year.
Well, I mean, going back to Arizona, I think a lot of people, well, in the Ironman world, certainly wouldn't have really known you. I did, obviously, from the duathlon world. You got a bronze medal back in 2007 at the European Championships in Edinburgh, one of the toughest European courses we've ever seen, and you obviously showed you had a great deal of talent. You're a sub 30-minute 10k runner on the road, so you know the pedigree was definitely there, but you had to put that all together in an Ironman event. Was just amazing. I mean, just talk us through the race a little bit.
Yeah, the race was just a huge emotional high the whole way through. I knew my swimming is very weak for a pro man. I came out in 55-56 minutes, which isn't too shabby, but I couldn't expect anything more than that. The bike all year I've been really strong on. Broken most of the course records on the races that I've been turning up on, and naturally over the 3 sports, biking is by far what I'm best at. And having spent a lot of time doing it last year in Boulder, getting in 13-14 hours a week on a regular basis, it really paid off. So to bike a 4:22 on my own, I think it was the 2nd or 3rd fastest bike split, I knew was capable. I knew I would do that, and I knew that the league guys, maybe 4 or 6 of them, would be working together legally, but I would have been very surprised if they'd have put time into to me, because I was that confident about my bike split. I don't have the run speed that I used to have for duathlon. I'm certainly not a 30-minute 10k runner. I'm probably a 32-minute 10k runner now, but that's all I need to be running a 2:45 or 2:48. So I've actually found the run training a lot easier. Come the run, the strength on the bike really paid off. A lot of people, some really good advice is just do not neglect the bike, because even in duathlon days, the fastest I ever ran off the bike was when I was strongest on the bike. And I just was really surprised at how good my legs felt. So I don't go by heart rate or anything like that. You just got to go by the way you feel, make hay while the sun shines. And I just set off around sort of 6-minute miling and maintained it for quite a while. Caught up with Chrissie Wellington, Rasmus Henning, went past them. By this point I was on cloud 9, and I've got to say that it's going to sound really daft, but the first 22 mile of the marathon was easy. It was so easy because I was just on this huge emotional high, just rolling past people. And then from about 22 mile onwards it got distinctly hard. I didn't hit the dreaded marathon wall, but I definitely slowed. Rasmus came back past me, but when I say I was happy with third, there wasn't a lot I could do when he came past. I was quite spent. But I was just ecstatic with the result. And
I think you had one of the fastest marathon times of the day, didn't you?
Yeah, the fastest marathon time of the day. Yeah, 2:48, and it's quite a twisting course. If I hadn't have slowed at 22 mile, I'd have come in 2:44, 2:45, and I think that's definitely what I've got to work on in the future. But a lot of that strength is gonna come from bike work and getting off the bike a lot fresher, but also the long runs, which I wasn't really doing last year. I wasn't running any more than an hour and 30, hour and 40, and for Ironman that's good for part of the year, but you've also got to put your 2 hour 20 minutes.
So you weren't putting in the 2 hour plus runs then before you did Arizona?
No, I was certainly my run training was more half Ironman training. I wasn't doing a huge amount of miles a week. It's quite odd that I've gone from duathlon, which was a 2 hour race with 15k's worth of running in, to Ironman with 26.2 miles of running in, and now I do probably 25 mile a week less than I was doing 3 or 4 years ago. So I could probably do another 5 or 10 mile, and that's what I'm going to work on in the future a week. But you can't do 80 mile a week, not when you're doing so much time on the, not when you're spending so much time on the bike and swimming. So you just have to make sure everything's quality and specific for the race. Like I say, you don't need to be going out and doing 2:55k's in training, because you're never going to do them race day. You need to back off a little bit, and I think that really helps the body as well and recovery.
You've had 3 years away from competitive sport up until sort of the early part of 2010. How hard was it to come back from that? What kind of advice would you give to people who themselves have got injuries at the moment?
I'd just say there's no magic pill. A lot of injuries now, they're not going to be gone in a week or 2 weeks. And if you do have to resort to surgery, which should be the last resort, but sometimes you have to do it. I did. Then go for it and embrace it, because you'll get back to doing something you love, and that's the most important thing. It depends how much you value your sporting career. When I say sporting career, whether you're a professional or whether you've just started the sport, if you love it that much, then ride out the storm, and you'll be back to training at some stage. You will go through emotional lows, definitely. I certainly did, but you'll get back, definitely.
Go back to your race in Arizona. You mentioned Chrissie earlier, Chrissie Wellington. Few people might have heard about her. You raced probably the first time ever you've been at a race where you've been competing together.
Yes.
Was there any thought in your mind when you were running along thinking, I can't let my girlfriend beat me?
Yeah, there was. Yeah. I've got to be honest. Before the race,
it's Chrissie Wellington we're talking about, so it's no shame to be beaten by her.
Yeah, it's. I knew Chrissie would beat me by 5 minutes out of the water, and I knew from training together for the year that I would. She's an extremely good biker, but I knew that I would stick a good chunk of time to her in the bike. But the run was just a bit of an unknown for me. The last race I'd done before Arizona was a 70.3 in the States, and I came second, and I had a good run. Things were starting to come together again. But I've never done a marathon before, or hadn't done a marathon up until that point. So it was a complete unknown. I could have got to 10 or 13 mile and just the wheels come completely off. But no, after about certainly 10, after kind of halfway through the marathon, I knew that I was going to be safe and that I wasn't going to get chicked, which was quite nice, you know. But it was great to see her do so well. It's quite amazing how good she is over the long distance. We did a 10k earlier in the year in Boulder, and over 10k I beat her by 4 minutes. And then at the end of an Ironman, my time over the marathon, even though I got the fastest time of the day, was still only 4 minutes quicker than she ran, because she ran a 2:52. So it shows the kind of shows how strong she is over the longer distance. But yeah, it was so nice to experience it, and the finish line when she came in.
Lots of celebrations.
Lots of celebrations, yeah, lots of celebrations. I'm not someone personally who kind of jumps around ecstatically on the finish line. It's not my bag, but I just sat there and I was about as content as I've ever been, just watching other finishers come in and just having this huge kind of happy feeling. Sat there quietly, just really enjoying the moment, and it was super.
Well, you know what? I think there was a lot of Ironman fans and Tom Lowe fans out there back in November on a sort of cold winter's evening, watching the internet and watching you racing, and really willing you on. You know, you came within sort of literally under a minute of first place at one time, but third place was absolutely outstanding. And I think I'm not just talking for myself, but talking for a lot of Tom Lowe fans out there, old and new, that will be hoping that this year we're going to be seeing you racing again. And obviously your new job with TIR is very important, but really hoping that you're going to keep up that good work, and that we're going to see you in Kona at the end of the year in October, in 10 months time or something like that, or maybe a bit less now. We've got a bit of time, so I think from me and everyone else, wishing you lots of luck for this year. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Annie. Cheers.